Gab, after the match, Hazard said he thinks it's goodbye, but in football, you never know. He added that there could be a decision in the coming days. If this was the Gabometer, would his departure from Chelsea be at a 10?
It would certainly be somewhere in between a 9 or a 10. As he says, in football, never say never. Obviously, he's got a year left on his deal. Obviously, he's made it very clear he'd love a chance to write the next chapter of his career at Real Madrid, reunite with his boyhood idol, Zinedine Zidane. Key here, though, remember, the two clubs need to agree a fee. And one thing Hazard does not want to do is he does not want this to be a drawn-out, acrimonious departure. So it's pretty key that this happened quickly.
Craig, one thing's clear, whether it's today or maybe the whole Premier League season.
Well, he's called it the perfect end to a reporter on site in Baku. Now, whether that's a perfect end to Chelsea's season, which it is, or I would imagine the question was more geared towards his future. Well, then look. At the end of the day, we're surmising here. It's no big secret.
Right.
It's no big secret. I think it's 99.9% that he'll be.
Where does it leave Chelsea, though? I mean, after what we saw today, the impact he had all season, what are they going to be like without this guy?
They're going to be like how they've been most of the season, which is pretty average. Now, to finish third with a pretty average side, which they have at the moment in comparison to Liverpool and Manchester City, is a good job for Maurizio Sarri. League Cup final, winning the Europa League. But he has driven that. He's driven a lot of that, Eden Hazard. Now, obviously, they've got transfer ban looming. We don't know what's happening with Cass over that and whether they'll get some leeway. But if they don't get leeway, it'll be a difficult season for whoever manages Chelsea. We're talking about Eden Hazard probably going. There's a possibility the manager might go. So there's lots of ramifications for the football club in terms of the fact they're going to enjoy their end of season. They win the Europa League. They had Champions League football anyway. But when you look at what Liverpool and City are doing, then it is a concern with potentially a manager going and probably your top player going and potentially transfer bans being held up is what kind of season is going to look like for Chelsea next year. And I think if you put all those in, if all those stay, if all those things come true, it's going to be a really difficult one.
Shaka, can you overstate his value to this Chelsea club?
No, you can't. It's not his value on the field and what you've seen over the last few years. Without question, he's been one of the best Premier League players for many a season, and it'll be hard to replace him. But at the same time, no player is bigger than the club, and I think the timing of this could work out to Chelsea's benefit because of that transfer ban that maybe is looming. I think they'll appeal it, and therefore will have to stock their dressing room. And whatever they get for Eden Hazard will go some way to them managing through that transfer ban. And let's keep in mind, again, 12 months' time, you lose him for free. So it's a decision that you have to make. But how do you get one of the world's, or how do you replace one of the world's best players? That's a question that many are struggling to answer. But you just have to try to find players or certainly numbers that can get you those results.
So good tonight, wasn't he?
He was. And you look at what he's done for Chelsea over these seasons, and especially this season. He basically was the player that if something was going to happen and Chelsea were going to win a game or create chances, it was always going to come through Eden Hazard. There's no chance you can go out and buy a player like this easily, as we've all seen. So it's going to have to be bits and pieces. You've got a transfer ban looming. Certainly Christian Pulisic coming in, which every American's excited about, but that's only going to be a certain piece. He's not going to be able to do what Eden Hazard has done, where he's in tight spaces against three players, beat three players, connect a pass, be on the other end, and just open up the field. At certain times, certainly he can, but overall, a period of time, those players are very, very rare. That's why he's going to go to Real Madrid. So the pieces that are put in place have to be specifically better than they have right now. And if they're not, Chelsea's going to struggle. It's that simple. You look, Tottenham's already come out and said they're going to spend, which would be a huge surprise. If Tottenham can spend, then you're talking another jump of another club that gets possibly up into the top two. And Chelsea, with everything looming with the coach, with, of course, Eden Hazard possibly, you have the ban, and just the the group of players that have shown the strength to go against coaches, you've got a potential larger issue in bringing in players, getting everybody to believe in that product and that end goal, and then putting those pieces together that are new to create the opportunity to even be in the top 2 or 3.
I don't know what Gab thinks. I know Gab's right. I don't know what Gab or any of you boys think of this. I think it's a perfect time for, you said it, I think it's a perfect time for Eden Hazard to go after, he's well entitled to go at his age and his prime to one of the biggest, best clubs in the world and just seek that next step. But also, I think perfect time for Maurizio Sarri, who's had a hard time this year from a lot of people themselves.
Perfect time?
Yeah.
He's got Champions League football again.
Absolutely. Are Chelsea going to compete in the Champions League next year? No, they're not. I'll tell you why. Because he's got them into third. He's won a trophy, the Europa League. There's all these problems looming over them. The best player's going to go. Higuain is going to go back to Italy. Olivier Giroud, his contract's, I think, is it coming up or whatever? I can't remember. He's got a year left or whatever. But anyway, it's just, he's just a bench player. And he's got the potential to go to Juventus and make some hay while the sun shines. I think it would be good timing for both of those individuals to make that move.
In terms of Sarri, I don't think his stock as Chelsea manager has been any higher than right now. All season long, it's been one controversy after the next. The team has been playing well, criticisms, and now all of a sudden, given everything they've achieved, you sit back and look at the season in totality. This is as good as it's been for Maurizio Sarri.
Gab, there's been so much speculation in the days, the weeks leading up to this match. Where is Sarri's future now? And did maybe the outcome today help his chances at staying at Chelsea? Or maybe, as the guys are suggesting here, boost his stock in a way that makes him quite ready for that Juventus job?
Well, look, I mean, in terms of how Chelsea feel about Maurizio Sarri, I'm going to repeat what I said before. There's only one person whose opinion matters and is actively involved at Chelsea, and that is Marina Granovskaya, okay? And she appointed him precisely because the squad was getting older, because she wanted a system-type coach so that they could deal with veteran players leaving and they could develop the young guys who come through the academy, the Ampadu's, the Loftus-Cheeks, all this other stuff. That was her idea. We all know how it worked out. That will probably change now because, obviously, we've seen the pictures of Andrea Agnelli meeting with Bruce Buck, the Chelsea chairman. They're obviously in for him. I think Chelsea aren't going to sack him. I think Chelsea are going to demand compensation if he wants to leave, and if he comes to them and he says he wants to leave. I also wonder, but this is just my own personal hunch and speculation, I wonder if Juventus also have potentially another target lined up who they might have one last go at, and then if not, go with Sarri. But, from his perspective, I think he'd be very happy to stay. But then he gets a chance to go somewhere else where he doesn't have a bunch of people, mostly fans, against him and pundits in the media, and start from scratch. I don't think he's the right manager for Juventus, personally, but clearly there's going to be a ton of appeal there.
For more, sign up now for ESPN Plus.